Howdy, welcome back. We'll jump into part 2 of chapter 1. So with this part, we are going to look at or introduce what is largely the analysis portion of the strategic management process and a couple of large or big picture ideas that we will get into in a lot more depth in chapters 2 and 3. So one of these is the IO, or the industry organization model of above average returns. The logic of this is that profitability potential of an industry and firm actions that firm actions are determined by a set of industry characteristics. And these can include economies of scale, barriers to market entry, diversification, product differentiation, industry concentration, and market frictions. The idea here is that things that happen outside the firm determine much of what should happen inside the firm, and the decisions and the strategic direction that firms should take. So there are 4 underlying assumptions of the IO model. First, the external environment imposes pressures and constraints that determine the strategies that would result in above average returns. 2, most firms competing within an industry or within a segment of that industry are assumed to control similar strategically relevant resources and to pursue similar strategies in light of these resources. 3, firms assume that their resources are highly mobile, meaning that any resource differences that might develop between firms will be short-lived. And 4, organizational decision makers are rational individuals who are committed to acting in the firm's best interest, as shown by their profit-maximizing behaviors. The IO model challenges firms to find the most attractive industry in which to compete. Within the IO model of above average returns, one particular analysis or model that we will do is the 5 forces model, where we look at the strength of suppliers and buyers relative to a particular company. We'll look at substitutes for what the company produces. We'll look at potential new entrants into the organization, how likely or how easy it is for new firms to come in. And then we look at industry rivalry. This is an area we're going to get into in much more depth in chapter 2. Next, we look at the resource-based model of above average returns. The resource-based model of above average returns assumes that each organization is a collection of unique resources and capabilities. The uniqueness of resources and capabilities is assumed to be the basis of a firm's strategy and its ability to earn above average returns. So as a model of this, think about the resources as the building blocks. These are the physical resources. It could be your building, it could be the land, it could be the tangible and intangible pieces. Think about the money, think about the knowledge that is held or the patents that may be held within an organization. These resources allow the firm to do things and lead to the firm's capabilities, an integrated set of resources, the right people, use the right equipment to accomplish a goal. That would be a capability. A core competence would be a capability that serves as a source of competitive advantage. So again, resources are inputs into the firm's production process. Firms typically classify resources as physical capital, human capital, and organizational capital. And on that organizational capital, think of things like the firm's culture or the firm's reputation that aren't really physical or human, but they are still important parts of the organization. Resources have a greater likelihood of being a competitive or providing a competitive advantage when integrated to form a capability, which is the capacity for a set of resources to perform a task or an activity in an integrative manner, essentially resources used to accomplish a goal. Core competencies are the capabilities that serve as the source of competitive advantage for a firm over its rivals. There are 4 underlying assumptions of the resource-based model. One is that differences in firms' performances across time are due primarily to their unique resources and capabilities rather than the industry's structural characteristics. You'll notice a contrast here with the IO model. 2, firms acquire different resources and develop unique capabilities based on how they combine and use the resources. 3, resources and capabilities are not highly mobile across firms. Again, a contrast with the IO model. And 4, differences in resources and capabilities are the basis of competitive advantage. As a source of competitive advantage, a capability must not be easily imitated, but also not too complex to understand and manage. For a capability or a resource to provide a core competence, it must be rare, valuable, costly to imitate, and non-substitutable. We will look at any particular thing and say there may be an advantage that comes from a capability, but if every other firm has it, then it's not rare, and any advantage is not likely to last. We could look at any of these criteria and find and be able to analyze resources and capabilities to see if they are likely to provide advantages. So question number 2, between the IO model and the resource-based model, which do you think is the most important or the most accurate, and why? When you're done with that, come back and go to the third portion.